Hey everybody, it's Noah with the Zone Podcast. Today I'm with Altaf. Go ahead, introduce yourself to everybody and tell everybody what you do.
And so I appreciate you having me on here. My name is Altaf Kapasi. I'm the owner of Upstate Shower Door and Glass. So we specialize in shower enclosures, but we do any glass work inside a residential house. We do tabletops, mirrors, window panes, windows, all that good stuff.
All right, awesome. So how'd you get into that business?
So I kind of fell into it. It's my family's trade for. I'm third generation glazer. My grandfather started the business started Kapasi Glass back in 1975, and my dad and uncle worked there, and then I worked with them for a few years. And when I was working for them, I was actually fixing up houses on the side, and I realized that I enjoy doing residential work a lot more than commercial because they're mainly commercial based. So I was like, what can I do to also stay in the glass business, but do something a little bit different? And they don't do shower enclosure and shower glass. So I was like, let me go and doing that. So I started doing that roughly a little over 2 years ago, and it's been a blast.
So why do you like residential more than commercial?
I think it's more like when you're doing a bathroom remodel, right? And a lot of the times I just see the old, and then I see the new, right? And I'm like the last thing that goes in the shower, the last thing that completes the shower glass, and I'm
Mhm.
the first thing people notice when they walk in, right? So like when you walk in, people just always look for that shower and they see that glass and the clean, clear finish, and it's just a beautiful sight to me.
Okay, so it's more like the story behind it with the customer and like them getting in there and walking in there, versus just like with commercial. It's kind of I can see that. I can see it could be a little bit more boring.
Yeah, definitely. And commercial stuff, it's a different ball game, and I realize that what my family does, commercial versus residential, it's the way you install it, the way you do the finishing touches on it. It's night and day difference, honestly. And people are saying it's glass. How different can it be? But I mean, you use a different type of sealant. You have to be a lot more careful with shower glass because if it touches any tile, any metal, anything that it hits a corner of, it's gonna break on you, right?
Yeah.
Um, so
Mm. What speaking of it, it'll break on you. Do you have any interesting like customer interactions that you've had in your career?
um, I've breaking wise, I've only like really broken a glass during demo. I had one actually blow up in my hands, and I got a couple of scars from it, which is pretty cool. But it was not cool at the time. But yeah, as far as customer reactions, man, I actually just had one recently. It was tough, and there's a lot of little things that led me up to, like I should have known the way the customer was, and it wasn't the right fit for for my company and who I was, and I should have known that. But I've been like so busy, and like I didn't take the time to catch those little details to make to realize that this customer is gonna be kind of difficult to deal with. I've been in the retail business since I was 14 years old. I started working at Chick-fil-A and then been in retail ever since. Um, Definitely one of the most difficult customers I've ever had. She threatened to do this and that, and off off little things and things that weren't even my fault. I like when I do a job, I like to do start to finish. I can demo the old enclosure so I can install a new enclosure. Well, this contractor had taken the old enclosure out, and when he did, he kind of the drill holes, he ripped it and made the actual holes bigger than they needed to be. So when we went to install, we covered up the actual drill holes, but around the drill holes are chips,
Hmm.
and there's nothing I could do about that. And granted, yeah, we should have said something before the install of installing it, and then she just made an extremely big deal about it. I told her, like, listen, we could take it out, we could get the holes sealed up, and then we could reinstall it. And just I'm not sure how she didn't take it the right way, and just it was just a bad experience. And then finally, I was like, listen, after 2 weeks of talking to her, I told her, like, I'm ready to give your money back, like, and she's like, that's fine. I think that's the best way to doing it. And then I had a meeting with her and the contractor on site, and all of a sudden everything changed. She's like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you get this piece that my contractor can fix it and this and that. I was like, honestly, man, I don't think I could satisfy you. I'd rather just give you the money back and we just be done. You keep the enclosure, and whatever he wants to do, I think he should just fix it and we can move on. And then she was like, no, I'm a fair person, this and that. And so I'm still kind of dealing with it finishing up, but she said she's going to get the contractor to redo it and then pay me the difference. I was like, honestly, you don't owe me anything else. I think as far as I'm concerned, we're done. If you don't want any money back for your enclosure. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
how do you deal with like with those situations? I mean, I feel like it's just how being a business owner, but especially when you're working more B2C, I think um it's more of a would you say it's more of a like I'm trying to get the word, but like a special process with
Yeah.
like homeowners. It's like a I don't know the word I'm trying to look for right now, but it's like a different process than commercial. Because in commercial, it's like, hey, get the job done, it's all good, and then I can imagine in residential, it's a little bit more special.
Yeah. And honestly, like a lot of, homeowners don't understand the process and procedures and stuff. And it's not as easy as they think it is. Right. So like,
Mhm.
that's what I obviously didn't question her judgment or the way she's running things, but like she has a contractor there. It's like, why didn't you have the contractor, me deal with the contractor directly? And it would, that's what you're paying a contractor for, right? To deal with all this minor stuff. And then like the way she reacted, it was just extremely uncalled for. And I didn't really appreciate it. So I was just ready to be done with it.
Mhm.
So
And the thing for the contractor bringing you in and everything like that, do you have a lot of referral partners getting started? Like how for all the people out there that are trying to start their business and maybe have their business running, but they're running off of cold leads, stuff like that. Um, how do you usually find your business?
So majority of my referrals has come from networking, going to networking events, meeting people, and just getting to know them, right?
Mhm.
And people want to do business with people, right? Not necessarily just companies, right? Obviously my core values and all that stuff matter, but it's it's the interaction people have, and people always think it's about price, and I disagree. Nowadays, is well, people want value or in service over price, right? So it's just building those good relationships and promising what you give a customer or contractor or whoever it is. Just do right. So.
You said something interesting about core values. How important do you think it is for a business to have those core values when they get started?
It took me a while to catch on to what core values can really do for a company. And I recently listened to a podcast which was phenomenal about it. Basically, your core values is not just about what you believe in, right? It's about what your company believes in. So your hiring process, your firing process, your the way the customers that are right for you, right? So if you bring in your core values and a customer doesn't align with them, like if you have like honesty, integrity with their communication, then a customer is not good with communication and hasn't been very honest with you in the process, then, this customer is probably not for you. So you fire the customer before you even start, right? And that's something people need to realize, like, don't bend your company core values for somebody else, because that's what you should live and dream. I mean, live and, die by is your core values, because that's what makes you, right? And that's what makes your, company different from everybody else. I think it's extremely important to have that in a company, especially when you're growing and building and getting to know people.
Yeah, how early when getting started with the company? Because it seems like most people are shooting from the hip when they get started, and then
Yeah.
they kind of see these core values and stuff like that. How when do you think they should start really knowing and then putting that into their company?
Sooner the better. I'm like I said, I'm a little over 2 years, and I'm just now like getting everything like tightened up and releasing it. But as you grow, you want to have them down. You want to
Mhm.
have those people that are close to you the most, even help you out with them, help you out with it, so that way you could hire, fire, and run your company by it, right? And if people see who you are and see what your company core values are, then that it may be a better fit for them. It may be easier to hire them, right? Because they're seeing you, they're reading about it, and it just makes them realize, oh, hey, look, I want to work for this person because I believe in these things as well. So I
Hmm.
think it's very crucial for a company to have it early on.
Yeah, I feel like it's somewhat of a differentiator, and it's able to sit there and be like, "Hey, this is what I." You're not coming to the table just, I guess, asking for it. Like you're coming to the table being like, "I let's see if I really we line. Let's see if we really align." Instead of, "Yeah, I'll do whatever you want to go ahead and get started."
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
um, but yeah, other than that, what just kind of switching gears a little bit, where do you see like AI taking your business and also other businesses in the industry? Like, where do you see it fitting in?
I mean, there's a lot of things, man. It's literally taking over, and it's almost to the point where I could see it taking other people's jobs. It's
Yeah.
technology is a beautiful thing, but it's also, you know, not good because, for example, I mean, it's like my interview questions. I have them write it up for me. I ask them a few questions, and I don't like it, and then we tweak it, and then we redo it. So like a lot of things that you do as a business, people don't realize they could really take advantage of that instead of having to hire people to help you do stuff like that. You could just talk to a machine; it's going to talk back, right? So I'm interested to see how far it goes. I really, obviously, I think it's a huge part of the future and people's businesses. Um, it's going to be. I mean, I think it's an interesting time we're living in right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
It's it's pretty nuts. I mean, where do you think, like, with even your business specifically, where are the other places you think it would fit in? Like,
Um, so I personally don't utilize it as much as I should.
mhm,
So I just use it for help me like write documents and help me write certain things like SOPs and stuff like that. So like a lot of the back office stuff.
mhm.
Um, but people, some people I know really utilize it a lot more than I do. So as far as future value, I can't really speak on it.
What about like, and would you use an AI assistant over a human assistant?
No, I'm not there yet. I'm still, I guess, in between, like mainly like old school. Like a lot of
Yeah.
my scheduling, majority of my scheduling is on pen and paper. Obviously, I use um, my iPhone as my calendar, right? But like the detail of it and stuff, I use pen and paper. My quotes and stuff are, in the beginning are all on paper and then I send it out through an email. So I'm trying to break that trend and trying to, utilize more computerized process and automated processes. But I'm just kind of hanging on for old school style, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting how like different businesses will probably use it different ways. I don't know if it'll be just one rule because even for me, I still write on a legal pad for everything. I mean, I can't even. There's just a different feeling to like writing on a legal pad versus an iPad. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And I'm a visual, right? So like when I look at it and write it down with my handwriting, it sticks a lot more than just me speaking something or you know typing it in or something like that, right? So it's
Yeah,
different.
because even we have computers and we have places where we can write stuff down, but we still choose to use paper. We still choose to use like whiteboards and everything like that. So I think it'll just be, two different sides of the coin, and just have different people using it in different ways. I think everybody will end up using it in some way.
I like that for sure, and I think it's like part of the whole learning process, right? There's three different types of learning, right? People want to get hands-on, people are visual, people are more just listening and watching other people do it, right? So it just really
Mhm.
depends on your learning style and type, and I guess that's how people use different ways of doing things.
Yeah. Also, just switching gears a little bit for the team. So, I wanted to know, a lot of business owners out there and a lot of people in the audience, usually it's harder to build a team and really get people involved. And even with that core values, and bringing those in, how do you really build that strong team when you're going out and hiring?
Yeah, it's tough. Honestly, that hiring and firing is probably one of my weakest points as a business owner, and I could definitely see it reason reason being me like holding me back from where I should be right now, honestly. But that's where those core values come into play. When you interview people, ask people, bring up your core values, tell them about it, talk about it, then ask them questions about it, and see if they actually align with your company. That way, it's going to save you the time and trouble, because if integrity and is part of it, and they're not very honest or whatever, or paying attention is in detail is part of your core values, and they don't pay attention to details, and that person's not obviously not going to be a work, be the right fit for your company. Like one of mine is like, biggest thing about construction is like it's detail oriented, right? So like if I order a glass that's an eighth of an inch or a quarter of an inch around the shower glass, it's literally going to mess up the whole thing. I'm going to have either a big caulk joint at the top or the bottom. And it's not, the detail and the finish isn't going to be as clear and finished like as it needs to be, right?
Mhm.
So you could really eliminate a lot of people that way.
Yeah, I mean, even what I'm thinking right now is like those, because I the core values is a new thing for me as well, and even in my business, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, it just allows you to focus. Like when you're sitting with that team, it just allows you to be like, well, because usually that just comes under the rug, and you just don't think about it. But when you have it like built out in front of you, then you can sit there and be like, oh, well, this really jumps out at me with this person because we take this to a high degree and this is written down everywhere around here. So like if you don't have it, I can see it. I can see it right there. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. For sure. Like one of actually my coach, he was talking to me about it the other day, and he was like, some of his guys, like, one of the guys they had hired, they didn't he didn't follow stand by the core values. Like
Hmm.
for example, like tucking his shirt in, and they had talked to him about it several times, and then finally their crew came to him and talked to him. It was like, hey, like you're holding us to this standard. It's not fair to hold them to a lower standard than you're all requiring of us to do. So
Hmm.
that was like the final thing, and basically the team said they didn't want him to be part of the team. So it made it easier for the owners to let him go, because it's a group decision basically, right? Instead of just you and putting all the pressure on yourself, right? So
Yeah, and like that reminds me back to something which you said about it's not it's not yours core values, it's the company's. But
yeah, that's why it's very important to hire the people that believe in those, right? So they can all hold each other accountable. And we as business owners, man, we get busy, we get stressed, we forget, right? We don't forget, we just other things are in mind and we're not thinking clearly, right? So it's good to have those, because it's always good when you have people on your team that's holding you accountable because of those core values of the companies, right? And it's not always about what you say, but it's the company. So it's a different aspect, a different way of looking at it. And holding each other accountable is huge in business. And having somebody to help you hold you accountable as a business owner is very valuable. And people, take it the wrong way, right? When your employee says something or does something um, that you should be following, but they're in a place they shouldn't. But your values and core values are there, right? So it holds everybody the same level of accountability. So
yeah, it allows it to be a system. That's another thing. Because I feel like as business owners, we really have to design a bunch of systems within our business. What is something that a system that you have in place that you're pretty proud of?
I'm still building, but one of my favorites is all the SOPs. Every little detail that I have, that I do within the company, I have SOP for. It makes running a business a lot easier and a lot smoother. Again, it goes back to having those people that learn differently, right? You
Right.
show them the SOP, you talk to them about the SOP, and then it has a step by step of everything they need to follow. So if you're sick or not there in one day, you just say, hey, look, man, this is what I need you to do. This is what I need you to take care of. This is how you do it. If you have any questions, call or text me. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned as being a business owner, to be able to run things smoother from day to day, is having SOPs and having the standard operating procedures in place for everybody to follow the same procedures. No one's doing something their own way or trying to change the way the company is being ran.
I like that a lot. I have even in my business, there's not too much of that. And I need to write down. Just listening to what you're saying makes me like, okay, now I need to start writing that down, because it allows your business to have a system, and it allows you to be replaced. And you want to be replaced. You want to move and make those bigger decisions, and move freely with what you're doing in the future. So having that there, it's the whole design system. So I yeah, that's definitely a belief that I need to adopt, because that's something that, yeah, I will definitely start implementing that. Well, other than that, do you have anything you want to leave with the audience? Like any thoughts? We're getting close on time.
Yeah, no, I mean, just, as business owners, it's not for everybody, right? So don't, if you start something, you fail, keep trying, right? Don't give
Mhm.
up, follow your dream, keep going. Just surround yourself with the right people, get rid of the negativity. That's going to change your mindset to a level that you can't compare to anything else, right? Just surrounding by yourself with the same positive people that want to keep growing is something I should, every business owner should follow. Be in the same room as the people that where you want to be, right? Make yourself uncomfortable continuously. That's the only way you're going to learn and grow. Because once you're done with school, that's it, you know. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, I appreciate you coming on and then giving everybody some tips, and helping everyone with. Hopefully, everybody starts putting some SOPs in the business. So,
Life a lot
uh,
easier.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But I'll have all of his stuff in the description below, and then I'll have your company and everything like that. So, if anybody wants to check you out, go over and check the description.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Cool.